This is on page 104 of Universal Prayers. The first one, top one on page 104, from the Bhagavata Mahapurana. Om Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutastunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangha Padakramo Panishadair Gayanti Yam Samagaha Jnanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyam Tam Navidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Salutations to that effulgent being whom Brahma and other gods praise with divine hymns, whom the singers of the Sama glorify by the Vedas and their auxiliaries, repeating the words in a particular order along with the Upanishads, whom the yogins realize through deep meditation with their minds wholly absorbed in him, and whose extent neither the gods nor demons can know. Om peace, may there be peace and joy in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. May there be peace everywhere in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Swamiji, this was our National College prayer also.
Yeah, we used to have prayer in Hindu. Now they cannot have prayer in schools and colleges. We have to chant national anthem, Janaganamana, plus a few other hymns before starting class. All the students. Yes. That was in the 50s. Later on, things changed. Now, one small thing I want to mention. When Swami Brahmananda was president of the Ramakrishna Order, he used to live in Belur Math. At that time, there was one young brahmachari who had joined the order, and other brahmacharis were there. So one day, that brahmachari got up. Maybe he got up a little bit late, and he was went out. Then Swami Brahmananda was standing there. So he looked at this boy, this brahmachari. Swami Brahmananda stopped that young man and told him, I want to come and see your room. This boy became very nervous because he had not made his bed. The room was not in good condition. So he, with hesitation, apologetically, the young man said, Maharaj, can you come a little bit later? I have to tidy up my room. I have not cleaned my room. Maharaj said, you should always be ready to receive me. That was the instruction. That boy understood the instruction that one should always keep one's heart clean to receive God. That is how he interpreted. That young brahmachari is the one who started the Chicago Vedanta Society in 1930. Swami Gyaneshwarananda. He started the Vivekananda Vedanta Society in Chicago in 1930. And then it was a small ashrama. Not many people were there. A few American disciples were there, and he was very good in arts, music especially. Unfortunately, he did not live very long. After 8 years of starting, 1938, he passed away at a young age. Then Swami Vishwananda came and took over. Every morning when I get up, I remember I have to make my bed. Otherwise, Swami Brahmananda will not be happy. So when I make the bed every day, I remember this incident and remember Swami Brahmananda. And today it is his birthday. So that is a small thing. Something to remind us of great Mahatmas. Whatever we think about, that quality will come to us. So if we think about Swami Brahmananda, all this divine quality, some of them will come to us. Now also let us start our Gita study. We are doing, last time we did verse 13, I think. 14 we have to start today, chapter 5. Na karatritvam na karmani lokasya srujati prabhu na karma phala samyogam svabhavastu pravartate. Here this verse, Bhagavan Shri Krishna points out that there are two aspects in any being, human being or any other being. There are two parts. One is the physical part, body, mind, sense organs, that part. That part is temporary. Other than that, there is a consciousness part, the divine presence within us. That does not change. It always is there. Body comes and goes, takes birth and dies, changes in between, but the consciousness part remains constant and it has no birth, no death, no change. This we know already from second chapter. In the second chapter, sloka number 20, it's a very important verse. There, in the second chapter, sloka 20, Sri Krishna describes the spiritual consciousness part of our personality, which is same in all. Bodies are different, but the divine presence is one same in all the beings. There he says, 220, Najayate mriyate va kadachit nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha ajaha nityaha shashvatah ayam puranaha nahanyate hanyamane sharire. That means the divine part in it, consciousness part in it, it does not take najayate, it has no birth. Namriyate, it has no death. Body has birth and death, it all changes. Hanyamane sharire, when the body dies, atma nahanyate, the divine presence does not die, it continues, eternal, infinite, unchanging. Now with that information, we can understand shloka number 14 in chapter 5. All changes, all actions, all karma phala, result of action, everything happens only at the body, mind, sense organ, sense object level. The Atman remains totally unaffected by any of these things. No action, no karma phala, nothing. Atman remains absolutely free. It does not get involved in any action or anything, good or bad, anything. All those things happen only at the body, mind level. Names are given to these two parts. Different names are given in different parts of Gita. In the 7th chapter, the physical body mind part is called Apara Prakriti, and the divine part is called Para Prakriti. In the 13th chapter, the body mind part is called Kshetra, and the divine presence is called Kshetrajna. So whatever these names, all actions, giving, taking, performing action, enjoying the fruit of action, all happen at the body, mind, sense organs, sense object level. That is explained in verse number 14. The Atman part does not get involved in anything. It remains absolutely constant and pure. So let us read question number 14. Na kartritvam. Kartritva means doership, the notion that I am the doer. Where does it happen? In the mind. It's only in the mind and ego that thinks I am the doer. The Vibhuhu, the last word and first line, Prabhuhu, Prabhu has no kartritva. Prabhu is a Lord. Prabhu means Atman. In the commentary, Shankara translates Prabhu as Atman. The Atman within us does not get involved in kartritva. It remains absolutely pure consciousness, no karma. Na karmani srijati. Karmani means either karma or fruit of karma or product of karma. Here in the commentary, Shankara translates karmani as the product of work that people do. Something product happens when you do something. He gives an example. Karmani rathagata prasadadini ipsutatamani lokasya. People perform action generally with a motivation to do something, to create something or enjoy something. All that happens only at the body, mind, sense organs, sense object level. The Atman remains unaffected. No karma, no kartritva, no karma. Lokasya sujit Prabhu. Prabhu does not, Atman does not create this karma or perform karma, does not enjoy fruit of karma. He remains absolutely free. That is the first line. Second line is continuation. Na karma phala samyogam. Karma phala samyoga means when you perform action, some karma phala will come, fruit of action will come. And that is also decided by the body mind, happens at the body mind sense organ level. Atman does not get involved in karma phala. Na karma phala samyoga. Then who is responsible for all the actions and doership, and I did this, I did that, this is my result of my work? Where does it all these things happen? It says swabhavaha, swabhavastu pravartate. Swabhava means the apara prakriti, the physical material component of our personality. There all these things happen. There good and bad, suffering, enjoyment, all those things, doing good deeds, bad deeds. Everything happens at the body, mind, sense organ level, which is also called apara prakriti, also called kshetra in the 13th chapter. The Prabhu, the Lord, that means Atman, remains totally unaffected by all these things. No action, no kartatva, no fruit of action, absolutely pure consciousness. That is the sloka number 40. The detailed description of Svabhava, apara prakriti, will come in 7th chapter. Some of you studied that one, verse number 4. There are, what happened? Okay. There are different parts to it. We'll not go into that now. We'll study later. But the gist of the shloka is the divine self within us remains absolutely free. It has no birth, it has no death, it does not change, it does not get involved in action or karma phala or kartritva. That is our true identity. That's what truly are. But erroneously we think we are the body and the mind. So that ajnana, that ignorance of our true nature has to be removed. How to do that will come. Has already come, it will come later. Let us go to verse number 15. Same idea continued. Nadatte kasyachit papam nachaiva sukritam vibhuhu ajnanena vritam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Jantu means any living being. It can be an insect, it can be a tree, it can be a man, a woman, or any animal. It's all jantu, jiva, some which has something which has jiva. But here specifically, all this applies to human beings only. Animals don't get involved in spiritual life and moksha sadhana. They are not ready for that. Only people. Kasyachit vibhuhu, this is the last word in the first line, vibhuhu. Vibhu is same as Prabhu. In the previous shloka, Atman was called Prabhu. In this shloka number 15, Atman is known as Vibhu. Vibhu means something which is present everywhere. Sarva Vyapi. That Atman, Vibhu, does not get involved in the allocation of punya, papa, result of karma, remains free. Kasyachit papam na adatte, does not accept anybody's bad deeds and does not accept anybody's good deeds. Atman has no connection with action or fruit of action, totally free. Why this is mentioned? In the case of avatars, they can absorb some people's bad deeds and suffer on their behalf. This happened in the case of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother. Many times, especially Holy Mother, she used to suffer a great deal of physical discomfort, burning in the body, everything. Because all kinds of people used to go to Holy Mother. Sri Ramakrishna would accept only certain people who are ready for spiritual life. But Holy Mother didn't say no to anybody. Whoever went, good person or bad person, she would welcome him or her, and if that person asked for spiritual instruction, she would give. And when they touched her feet while doing pranam, she would severe burning sensation will be felt in her body. She had to wash her feet several times to become free from that burning sensation. That happens in the case of avatars. In avatar, I mean God comes in human form, but not in the case of Vibhu Atman. Atman, the divine presence within us, that remains unaffected. Does not take anybody's karma, does not take good karma or bad karma. No such transaction. Totally free Atman. That is Vibhu. Vibhu means Atman. Now, why people suffer is explained because of ignorance, ajnana. Ignorance of what? Ignorance of our true nature. If you know you are the Atman, then there is no suffering, there is no enjoyment, there is no death, there is no birth, totally free. But we are not experiencing that one. Though divinity is present every moment intrinsically, still we are not experiencing it because of what reason? Ignorance, ajnana. Actually here it says ajnanena jnanam avritam. Jnana means self-knowledge. Swamiji made a very famous statement in one of his lectures, Swami Vivekananda. He said, each soul is potentially divine and the divinity remains in potential form. The purpose of education is to make the divinity manifest in one's life. All knowledge is already there within us. Everything, we don't get any knowledge from outside. No knowledge coming to you from me or from Gita book. It's already there. What is happening is the person creates a certain environment that makes the hidden knowledge come to the surface. You're not getting any knowledge from anybody. Whatever you are studying, physics, chemistry, or Gita or anything, it's already there in each one of us. Infinite knowledge is there. But what is the purpose of school, college, education, teacher? Just to create the environment so that the hidden knowledge will come to the surface. Creating a learning environment, conducive to learning. That's all the teacher does. So here it says, jnanam, jnanam means self-knowledge. It is within us. This moment it is there. But it is covered by avritam, covered by ajnanena, by ignorance. That came before in the third chapter. I'll give the reference. Ajnanena jnanam avritam. The true knowledge of our divine self is already there within us. If it is something that is absent and has to be acquired, then it won't be permanent. It has to be there all the time, intrinsically. Then only it is true. But it is covered by ajnana. Ajnana means I'm the body, I'm the mind, and then this is my property, this is my wife, children, husband. That feeling is ajnana, limiting oneself to the body. It is covering the jnana present within us. How is it covering? 3 examples are given. If you remember, there is a shloka in the third chapter. Third chapter we studied quite some time ago, so you have to go back and review. Periodically, you have to review earlier chapters to connect all the ideas. Verse number 38. Chapter 3, verse 38. When you have time, please go back and study that one. I will simply chant it now. You will see 3 examples are given how ignorance, ajnana, covers knowledge, which is already within us. There, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, Dhumena uryate vannihi yatha darsho malena cha yatholbe navarta garbha tatha tene demavritam. 338. There, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says, yatha vannihi dhumena avriyate. Avrana means covering something. Vanni means fire. Dhuma means smoke. So, just like fire is covered by smoke, huge fire is there somewhere, and we are not seeing the fire from a distance, we are seeing the huge cloud of smoke. Smoke is rising into the sky. But you are not seeing the fire. Fire is there hidden by the smoke. Dhumena vannihi yatha avriyate. Just as smoke covers fire. One example. Second example in 338 is Yatha darsho malena cha. Adarsha means a mirror. Mirror in which we see our face. Malena avritaha. Adarsha. Adarsha means a mirror. Is covered by a thick layer of dust. And because of dust covering, I can't see the image in the mirror. The third example given is Yathol Venavruta Garbha. Just like the embryo, the fetus is covered in the mother's body by the embryo, or whatever that part is called. It is there, but you cannot see it is covered. In the same way, Jnanam Ajnanena Avritam. This is verse 50. Self-knowledge which is within us intrinsically, always that was absent. Right now we cannot see divine presence. The moment we purify our mind, the divine presence becomes immediately apparent. Oh, you realize, oh, I was always Satchidananda. I thought I was this person. I thought I was a Swami living in America. All that ignorance will go. Realization will come that I have always been Satchidananda. Why did I think I was a human being doing this and that? That realization will come. For that, all the sadhana, study, meditation, japa, solitude, everything has to be done. So, I will read the translation of verse number 15. The mighty being, Atman, accepts nobody's sin or merit. Knowledge is shrouded, covered in ignorance. Therefore, the living beings are deluded. Delusion means incorrect understanding that I am the body, mind, this is my property, this is my house, this is my job, I am such and such a great person. All this is ignorance. Always been within us, never absent. But ignorance covering it. What is ignorance? All the impurities in our mind, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, etc. Lust, anger, greed, pride, jealousy, fear, all these things are impurities in the mind covering the divine presence within us. All spiritual practices are only designed to do one thing, to purify the mind. It can be done in any way that you like. So that is our choice, which kind of spiritual practice we do. But the purpose is to chitta shuddhi, purification of the mind. So let us go to verse number 16. This is the same continuation, same theme. Verse 16. Jnanena tu tadajnanam te yesham nashitam teshamadityavat prakashayati bharat prakashayati tat param. For them, translation, for them whose ignorance has been destroyed by knowledge, that means jnanis, that very knowledge, that is self-knowledge, like the sun, illumines the supreme reality. So what happens is, supreme reality, Atman, is present in everybody's being. Everybody has same divinity, including animals and plants, but they are not able to experience it. In all the human beings, same divine is present all the time. That will come many times in the Gita. But for those few people who, by doing a lot of spiritual practice, obtain that knowledge, self-knowledge, then they will realize that they are the supreme reality, Satchidananda. Not what they thought until now, body, mind, etc. So that knowledge illumines the divine presence, makes us aware of the divinity present within us. So this is importance of self-knowledge. Then description of jnanis, verse number 17. Tad buddhayastadaatmanah tannishthastatparayanah gacchanta punaravrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashah. With this, with the intellect set on it as the self, perceiving it as the self, devoted to it, it being the supreme abode, the sages, their sins routed by knowledge, proceed to that status whence there is no return. Here, the new idea is, once a person reaches or obtains self-knowledge, that person will never go back to ignorance at all. It's a permanent change. Whereas when you get other kind of knowledge, we can forget it and lose it, we can become ignorant again. Worldly knowledge, aparavidya, we may study, but that is not permanent. That aparavidya is temporary. If you don't practice it, stop studying it, if you retire from that service, then gradually, very quickly, it will fade away. You don't remember what you were doing after retirement. But self-knowledge is, once it is acquired, it's a permanent acquisition. We'll never again go back thinking that I'm the body-mind. We'll never go back to ignorance. Permanently, that knowledge will illuminate the person. That is the glory of self-knowledge. Apunaravrittim gachanti. Punaravritti means coming back again to another birth after death. Apunaravritti means not coming back to another birth. Once we leave the body and merge in Brahman, only Brahman remains. There is no rebirth for jnanis. This will be the last birth. Apunaravrittim nagachanti jnanhu jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Kalmasha means impurity. All the impurities of the mind, nirdhuta means have been washed away by jnana. Those whose ignorance has been washed away by self-knowledge, atma jnana, they will never come back to the human domain, into realm of ignorance again. Permanent change. So what are they? Their qualities? Tad buddhayaha. Buddhi means intellect. Their intellect is merged in the Atman. Our intellect is separate. I know certain things are maybe intellect has certain boundaries. I don't have infinite intellect. Small, limited, finite intellect I have. But those intellect merges in Brahman, infinite. Tad buddhayaha, tadatmanaha. They have experienced Brahman as their self. For me, it is a second object right now. God is a second object, separate from me. The separation will go, I am that, experience will come. That person experiences, I am that. So it is like Aham Brahmasmi will become an experience for that person. No more identification with the body, mind, etc. Tadatmanaha, tannishtaha, they are firmly committed to that self. There is no other interest. Tatparayanaha, they are always firmly engaged in that self. No going back to ignorance once self-knowledge is acquired. Now comes the most important verse. I want you to make a very special note of this verse number 18. This is a 5-star shloka in the Gita. Something that you have to practice every day. And you'll see how sages have practiced that. Verse number 18. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva shvapake cha pandita samadarshinaha. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini shunichaiva shvapake cha pandita samadarshinaha. Let me read the translation. The sages perceive the same truth in the Brahman, rich in knowledge and culture. In a Brahmana, I'll read again. The sages perceive the same truth in the Brahmana, rich in knowledge and culture, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eating outcast. Whole spectrum of creation is there, from the best to the worst. In all of these things, what is the common? Everything is different. One common thing is the presence of the same divinity. In all of us, however different we may be from each other, in all of us, in all the human beings, animals, and plants, in inanimate objects too, only one divinity is present. That is the most basic thing in Vedanta. That will come in many slokas later. Sri Krishna several times comes back to this theme that one divinity present in all. So the best person among all human beings is a Vidyavaniya Sampanna Brahmana. Brahmana is one who is seeking Brahman or has experienced, has self-knowledge already. Such a Brahmana, and he is endowed with Vinaya. Vinaya means humility. Vidya means knowledge. Both are there. See, what generally happens is, if a person has some knowledge, that person becomes arrogant. No, I know so much, I have written so many books, and I'm a famous speaker. Like that, arrogance will come. Because knowledge is not complete. Some knowledge, and that person becomes arrogant. Vinaya is not there. Humility is not there. That is what partial knowledge does. It makes a person arrogant. But a person who has full knowledge, I'll give an example. A person who has full knowledge, he will be endowed with humility. That person knows that he knows very little. Sri Ramakrishna, in the gospel, the conversation between M and Sri Ramakrishna, this comes. Somehow M said about Socrates. And then he said that Sri Ramakrishna asked some question about Greek scholars or something. M said Socrates knew a lot, but he thought he does not know much. That humility was there. That humility, knowledge without humility is not very good. Ignorance, partial knowledge, partial ignorance, that is cause of pride. They become proud, I know so many things. But a person with full knowledge becomes very humble. Such a person is the best person. Vidyavaniya Sampanna Brahmana. One extreme. And in between, other things come. Animals also come. Gavi. Go means a cow. A cow is a Rajasic animal. Not tamasic. Rajasic animal. Tigers are tamasic animals. Dhyani Sampana Brahmana is example of perfect sattva, sattvic person. No tamas, no rajas in that person. In the cow, there is rajas. And then two more examples are given. Gavi, Hastini. Hasti means elephant. Elephant and Shuni means dog. They are examples of tamasic animals, especially dog. Then, worst example at the other end of spectrum is Swapaka. Lowest person in society, no education, no culture, not his fault, was born under those circumstances where there was no education possibility. Such a person who just eats dog meat and somehow subsists dog meat and is Swapaka. Such a person at one extreme, Vidyavani Sampanna Brahmana at the other extreme, and all the animals in between. Plants too. In all of them, only thing common is divine presence. One divinity presence in all of this. No exception. There is no thing in this universe where God is not present. Even in inanimate objects, they are not able to express or feel God's presence. So even in this book, God is present. That's why we have to treat every object, inanimate object, with gentleness that came before. Even if you, in the Holy Mother's household, one lady was using the broom to sweep the floor, then threw away. You remember that incident? That is why, because in that broom also, same divinity is present as it is within me and you and everybody. You have to recognize, keep it gently in its proper place. So, those people who see the divine presence, treat all of them with love and respect, compassion, they are Panditas. A Pandita is not a person who performs some rituals. That's a common general meaning, Panditji. He comes to your home and chants some mantras and does some puja and takes some money and rice and everything and goes away. That's not. Pandita means a Samadarshi. Samadarshi means he or she who sees divine presence in all and everything without exception. There's a famous incident. It happened in the palace of the Maharaja of Khetri, Rajasthan, I think Khetri. Swamiji was visiting that. Swami Vivekananda was visiting that Maharaja. He was staying in the palace as the Raja's guest. The Raja had arranged a dance concert. A lady was dancing. She came in the royal court and she was performing dancing and singing songs also. So everybody was watching. King was watching. And the king invited Swamiji to come and join the audience to watch. Swamiji refused. He said, I'm a sannyasi, I'm not going to see women dance and sing. So he stayed. So when this happened, that lady sang one song. That lady knew that this visiting Swami is not there. Very perceptive lady. So she sang a new song. That song begins with Avaguna Chittana Dharo Prabhu. Prabhu mere Avaguna Chittana Dharo. Oh Lord, do not look at my Avaguna, my defects in my personality. I'm a ignorant person, no education, no culture. Please don't look at me impurity. Like that, the song begins. Very famous song. Prabhu mere Avaguna Chittana Dharo. Swamiji heard this song from his room. Immediately he got up and he said, I am practicing Samadarshitva, seeing divine presence in all. Now I made a difference. I thought of her as a dancing woman, ignored the divine presence in that dancing woman and didn't want to go. He goes and joins the audience. And then afterwards, he talks to that lady in the performances. That is Samadarshitva, seeing the same divine presence in all. Whoever that person may be, worst person, best person, male or female, educated or uneducated, rich or poor, same divinity is there. Another example, how Holy Mother treated Amzad. Amzad was a Muslim, he used to work in the farm, mulberry farm. Those days, the silk industry was a cottage industry. The silkworms are fed mulberry leaves. So these uneducated people who used to work in the farm as farmers. But the British people stopped that cottage silk industry. They brought power loom. Silk made by machine was imported to India. And these people lost their jobs. People like Amzad, many people. Some of them found some other job in other farm or somewhere. But this Amzad could not find any job, no qualification. So he used to steal. And they get caught by police and he was put in the jail. So once when he was released from jail, somehow he had heard about that one lady is there in Jayarambati, she's a noble lady, she will help poor people like that, he had heard. So he goes to Jayarambati and asks here and there and goes to Holy Mother's house, stands in front of the house and calls her as Mother, Amma, Ma, like that he called. Holy Mother heard and she came out and saw this Amzad, not well dressed, ill-kempt and poor person, doesn't seem to be educated. Then he was hungry. Then she made him sit down in front of her house, and her own self, she served food with her own hands on a leaf plate. Holy Mother's niece, Nalini, she didn't like it. Nalini said to Holy Mother, you have lost your caste, you are a Brahmana, you are a Brahmanas, you should not touch and serve the poor Muslim people. Well, Holy Mother said, don't say anything. She ignored and she continued to serve Amzad, sat down and fed him, talked to him nicely, and then sent him. He came many more times. Eventually he became a devotee. Amzad became a devotee. It took some time. That is how she treated. No other person in that village didn't wanted to have anything to do with Amzad. First of all, as a Muslim. Secondly, he was in a jail. He went to jail for stealing things. Then why would anybody have anything to do with that person? Everybody ignored him. Holy Mother treated him so nicely, so gentle. Many times he went back to her and he became a disciple. Just that one word transformed his personality. That is the power of Samadarshitva. Holy Mother saw him until when somebody, Nalini, objected to why you are treating this Muslim fellow with so much love. This is what Holy Mother said. Very famous sentence in Holy Mother. She said, Amzad is as much my child as Sharat. Amzad is as much my child as Sharat, she said. Sharat means Swami Sharadananda. Swami Sharada was one of the foremost disciples of Sri Ramakrishna among the 16 disciples. He was especially a special person. He was the guru of Swami Asheshanandaji, who was in Portland. There's a Swami Asheshananda wrote a book about Swami Sharadananda, Glimpses of a Great Soul. Swami Sharadananda was, he served Holy Mother in innumerable ways. He was the one who built a house for Holy Mother, Udbodhan House in Calcutta, so Holy Mother could go and stay there. And he raised money to fill that Udbodhan house by writing biography of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, in Bengali, Sri Ramakrishna Leela Prasanga hero. By selling that book, the money he got, he used it to build the building where Holy Mother could come and stay in Calcutta. Such a person, Sharadananda, a very distinguished person. We have to read his biography. She said, Amzad the same as Sharat. Very widely different personalities. Amzad had no qualification, and Sharat was the greatest disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. When the question of writing Sri Ramakrishna's biography arose, no other disciple volunteered. Swamiji said, Swami Vivekananda said, among all of us, it's only Sharat who can write our Guru Maharaj's biography. Not any other disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, not even Swamiji. Sharat was the one who was chosen to write Sri Ramakrishna biography, Leela Prasanga, Sri Ramakrishna, the great master. Now, Swami Chaitananji has rewritten it, Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, a modern version. So that is Samadarshitva, seeing the same divine presence in all, regardless of their personality, appearance, etc., treating everybody else with love and compassion, whoever that person may be. Like that. So these are examples of Samadarshitva. But when you put into practice in our daily life, we have to be careful. If there is a wicked person, we should not go and make friends with that person. We have to stay away from that person as much as possible, because we are not at the stage when we can remain unaffected by them. So we don't have to make friendship with people who are not known to have same interests or who can create some trouble. Stay away from them. To illustrate how this principle of Samadarshitva has to be implemented carefully, Sri Ramakrishna gave this parable. You remember the parable of Elephant Narayana, Mahut Narayana? That Gurukulam, there was a boy, and in the forest, when he was collecting firewood, wild elephant came, and the Mahut could not control, and all the other boys ran away and hid various places for safety. But this boy stood there, thinking that in the elephant also God is there. Teacher had told that one. But the elephant does not know anything about God. It's an wild elephant. He threw the boy aside and went away. The boy was injured, and the other boys took him back to the ashrama, Gurukula. And later, when he recovered, when Guru asked him, why didn't you move away from the path of the wild elephant? The boy said, sorry, every day you say God is present in all the animals. Also, I was trying to pray to the God in the elephant. The teacher said, God is present in all means God is present in the Mahut also. I was asking you to move away. Why didn't you see God's presence in the Mahut? The elephant Narayana you saw, but Mahut Narayana you didn't see. So we had to be careful in applying this Samadarshitva in our lives. Otherwise, we have to have compassion, love, and respect for all the beings, whoever they may be, whatever may be their other consideration. That Samadarshitva will come again in 6th chapter, verse number 9. Same idea will come, verse number 9. Then, one day, one more incident. Sri Ramakrishna was walking in the Dakshineshwar garden area. Probably M was also there with him. And in that area, there was a lady janitor, sweeper. And that lady was carrying all the night soil in a basket on her head. Excreta, bad smell. She was carrying it. And Sri Ramakrishna saw her. Immediately, he did Sashtang Pranam to her on the ground. He said, "Oh, Divine Mother, you are appearing in this form." He saw Divine Mother in the janitor. Nobody wants to go near the janitor. If you touch her, you have to take bath, like that orthodox rules. He did Sashtanga Pranam to that janitor. Like that, another occasion, Sri Ramakrishna was in probably somewhere in Dakshineshwar area. A prostitute was walking there. Her name was Ramani. Ramani was a prostitute. She was walking. Sri Ramakrishna bowed down to her. "Oh, Divine Mother, you have chosen to come in this form." He saw Divine Mother in the prostitute, in the janitor, in everybody. That is Samadarshitva. Because somebody is poor or illiterate or ignorant, we should not hate them or look down upon them. Divine presence is same in everyone. That is basis for Samadarshitva. So chant this one, verse one more is very important to us. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Sunichaiva Svapakecha Pandita Samadarshinaha. Very important verse, and please study that in detail. So we'll go to verse number 90. So this explains if a person practices Samadarshitva, as explained in verse number 18, what benefit will come.
Swami B is giving a Zoom class to North Carolina, and Swami A is giving a class to Connecticut.
Okay.
So
Verse number 90.
he's giving a class. Well, he's doing it on Zoom on the computer, but yeah, he's doing a class for North Carolina.
Ihaiva tairjata sargo yesham samye stitam manaha
They'll be free in an hour.
nirdosham nisamam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha. Ihaiva tairjata sargo yesham samye stitam manaha nirdosham nisamam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha. The translation is, even here means in this life, right now, here and now, even here is birth vanquished by them. I'll explain the word birth,
There you go.
sarga.
Probably the best plan. Probably in about an hour and a half. Give a holler back.
Will you please call later? I'm doing the class here. Okay. Ihaiva tairjita sargo yesham samye stitam manaha nirdosham samam brahma tasmad brahmani te stitaha. Even here, ihaiva, iha means here, in this birth, in this place, in this birth. Taihi, by those people who have Samadarshitva or practicing Samadarshitva. Sargaha jitaha. Sarga literally means creation. Whole creation is called sarga. Sarga also means life. Here, why the word sarga is used? Human life and other animal life also is full of suffering. We know that from experience. Some good things and some bad things. Those who practice Samadarshitva, same-sightedness, they will overcome this defect in creation. They will not be affected by good and bad. Good things, bad things will continue. World will not change. But they, by virtue of their same-sightedness, Samadarshitva, they remain unaffected by all the sufferings and limitations of worldly life. That's what that means. Yesham manaha samye stitam. Those whose minds are established in samya means Samadarshitva, samatva. Those whose minds are established in Samadarshitva, they overcome all the defect sufferings of this world. Why? They Brahmani stitaha, they are established in Brahman, self-knowledge. Nirdoshami samam Brahma. Brahman is free from defect, nirdosha. Sama means same-setted. From the Brahman's point of view, there is no good or bad, high or low. Everything is same. And these people who are established on same-sightedness, they overcome all the limitations, sufferings of worldly existence. That's the benefit. I'll have to make an announcement. Do we have time to do one more sloka? We started a little bit late.
Sure, Swami.
It has come before. Let me just begin it and we'll continue next time. Very important verse. Na prahrushyet priyam prapya nodvijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhirasam mudho brahmavid brahmani sthitah. Translation: with a steady intellect, undiluted, knowing and abiding in Brahman, one should neither be elated when gaining the pleasant, nor shrink when meeting with the unpleasant. This is the previous verse of Samadarshitva. This verse is Samatva, equanimity of mind in good and bad, pain and pleasure. This has come earlier in a couple of places, especially verse number 56 in second chapter, where Sri Krishna was describing the qualities of Sthita Prajna Lakshana. One quality of Sthita Prajna is remaining calm no matter what happens. Let one put garlands on, another kick this frame, say not. No praise or blame can be, where praise or praise and blame or blamed are one. Thus be thou calm, sannyasin bold, say Om, that's that Om. Swamiji's song of sannyasi. Some people praise, put a garland, some people kick and say bad things, do bad things to us. But sannyasi, as Sthita Prajna, must remain absolutely calm, unaffected. Sri Ramakrishna was kicked by another priest once. Literally, he was kicked. There were bruises on his back, but he didn't retaliate at all. He didn't tell anybody. Later on, somehow it came to light. And then that priest was dismissed for some other problem he created. Samadarshitva. Same-sightedness with regard to other beings. Samatva in regard to one's own experiences. Good and bad, pain and pleasure, profit and loss, they all happen in everybody's life. But a jnani, yogi or bhakta should remain calm, observe everything and not react. That we'll study that shloka next time in some detail. I'll give some more examples. Now, if you have any questions, we can have questions and then close.
Maharaj Pranam, this is Ramanuj talking from Chicago.
Ramanujda, namaskar.
Namaskar, Pranam Swamiji.
Very
So
good.
I have one question, little bit unrelated maybe. I was thinking about Viveka and Vairagya,
Yes,
and these two need to be developed.
yes.
Now we know that there are 4 sections of mind, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankara. So Viveka and Vairagya, where actually they develop? Is it in the Ahankara, or is it in the mind, or in Buddhi?
Viveka is in the buddhi. It's the buddhi, that faculty which you call intellect. That one faculty of the mind that says this is right, this is wrong, this is true, this is false, this is temporary, this is permanent. That ability to discriminate between real and unreal belongs to the faculty of buddhi, intellect.
Okay.
Vairagya is in the mind. Mind says this is not right. Buddhi has said this is not good for me, so I'm not going to pursue it or stop it. That mind does that. Putting into practice Vairagya.
So
Mind
Vairagya is in the mind. And
everything is in the
Viveka...
mind. Say, sorry.
No, Maharaj, I was just trying to repeat what you said and make sure I got it.
Main thing is Vairagya is in the buddhi. It's the buddhi that makes the determination. This is necessary and necessary. This is real, this is unreal. once that determination is made by the buddhi, the implementation, the mind tells the sense organs, don't pursue it, it is not good for us. That the mind controls the sense organs. That
And
directs
when
them.
we and when we say chitta shuddhi, does it refer to the one section of the mind? Because
all
Mano,
parts
Chitta,
of the mind.
Ahankara,
All parts of the mind.
all parts of the mind.
Yes, everything has been purified. If there is impurity in one part, then the mind is impure.
Right.
Yeah. So,
Okay. Pranam Swamiji. Thank you.
anything else?
Yeah, Swamiji, this is Shubhashish. I have
Ah.
one question about this 520 you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So a Sthita Prajna person remains calm when something good or bad happens to them.
Yeah.
But what about if they see something good or bad happening to somebody else? Then how do they react or not react?
You should depends on the circumstance. If somebody else, something is bad happening to somebody else, and if you can intervene, do something, you can consider doing that one. You cannot turn your deaf ear or blind eye to somebody who's having a lot of problems. We have to intervene and do something.
Swamiji, I have a question, Rekha from Chicago. So in verse 14, it says that the Lord does not create agency, right? A physical body is responsible for all the action and the results. But then in the previous chapters, we were told that we are just like servants or agents of God, and God is the one who has us do actions, and the fruits of the action also don't belong to us. So it seems like a contradictory statement.
Now here in verse number, which one in the 5th chapter, it refers to Brahman, the Atman within us. That part doesn't get involved in good or bad or action, inaction, result of action. The personal God, Ishvara me, karma phaladata. But that is a different aspect of Brahman. When he's engaged in creation, preservation of the universe, destruction, then intervention is possible. But Brahman as said, here Prabhu or Vibhu means Brahman, Atman, no connection with whatever happens in the body mind. No kartatva, no karma phala, nothing. That's how to distinguish that one. Shall we say the closing prayer now?
Yes, sir.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramaya, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May everybody realize and practice what is noble, auspicious, and dharmic. May no one be subject to suffering, misery. Om peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. Adi Daivika Shanti.
much.